What the hell kind of panel is this? God, y'all. I did the movie and I thought, well, this is kind of cool, and I liked it. I liked the characters a lot, and there's a great line in there. It's, you guys remember the movie, the first movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
You stupid dickhead, you don't even know your own name. I thought, God, it's got to be a great movie with a line like that in there. So that was a lot of fun, and then it was a few years later, actually. They called me up and they said they're doing a Ghost in the Shell series. And I thought, oh great, I'll be Batou. And they said, you have to audition.
What?
I said, what? I did it in the movie. You have to audition. I said, you. Well, that's what I was thinking anyway, and I thought, oh sure, okay, I'll come in and audition. So I went over there and I auditioned for the series, and there was about 200 guys I read against, actually. And thank God I got the, can we boost this a little bit? You guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Even when I'm not screaming like a loon? Okay, cool, that's a little better, yeah. So, I got the part, and so did William Knight, who plays Aramaki. We're the only two, actually, from the movie that made the cut. So we did the series, and the series was really, really fun to do. And we work with an interesting guy who directs the series. And he also directed the original movie and directed a lot of stuff. He also directed Solid State Society. But what I want to talk about real quickly was Ghost in the Shell Innocence. Did anyone see the... You guys see the dub of it?
Yeah.
The UK dub or the US dub?
US.
Let me get the fuck out of here. All right, what happened was I was in Boston. My son went to Berklee College of Music. Yeah, Boston. And I'll put a little plug in for my son real quick. He's in a band called Carney, and the lead singer Carney is playing Spider-Man on Broadway right now, Reeve Carney, and the band is playing the music. And they just opened for U2 2 weeks ago in Canada, so that's pretty cool. So they're doing great. Thank you. So maybe he can finally pay for his own student loan. Little pisher. Anyway, where was it with this? Oh, so we went to the movies, and I saw this big poster for Ghost in the Shell Innocence, you know, and with Batou, and I'm going, wow, this is cool. This looks like it's Batou, all Batou all the time. So I thought, this is kind of interesting. So I tried to figure out what was going on with it, and the people that normally do this stuff didn't know anything about it. So I did a bunch of research, and I found out that DreamWorks owned the rights to the movie. What the hell is that? The Phantom of the Opera? Right. Good God. I know they was put me next to the rock bands. Why is that? They're trying to tell me something? I found out it was DreamWorks, and I tried to get a hold of some people over there because I supervised for DreamWorks, and I figured, well, I got an in. I did a bunch of supervision for them, and I couldn't get anybody to talk to me on the phone. It was terrible. So I kind of gave up. I thought, crap. You know, I thought, well, you know, if I can't do Batou, because it was owned by a big studio, you know how big studios are, they'll go get Johnny Depp to play Batou or something like that, you know. And I thought, well, if they get Johnny Depp to play Batou, at least maybe I can write and direct the English adaptation.
Over his dead body.
Jack Sparrow Batou.
Yeah, my
So I tried to get a hold of somebody, I couldn't. So I went to Otakon in Baltimore. And I kind of gave up, and I thought, well, I don't know, whatever happens, happens. And I bumped into, I was on the bus, and there was this really beautiful Asian lady next to me, and I started talking to her, and it turns out she was one of the producers of Ghost in the Shell Innocence. And I told her who I was, and she didn't give a rat's ass. So I said, well, how can I want to be involved with this, who can I talk to? So she gave me the name of the lady at DreamWorks, so I thought, great, now I have the name of the lady, I work for DreamWorks, I'm in like Flynn, right? So I get back there and I call those people, I still can't get in, no one answers my calls, no one will return my calls, it's just horrible, so I gave up. Then I did a convention in London, England, and I was approached by Manga UK, and they said, I have a company with my wife. It's called Epcar Entertainment. Isn't that a brilliant name? I think so. So anyway, they said, we'd like you to bid on this. And I said, wonderful. So I bid on it, and I didn't think anything of it. And of course, they called me like 2 days later, and they said, we'd like you to do this project. And I almost crapped myself because, you know, it's like one of those things, be careful what you wish for, because I wanted to play Batou. I wanted to write and direct it. And the reason I wanted to write and direct it, because not that I don't like the way they did it, you know, the other people did it, but it's just, I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. And when you're an actor, you kind of have to defer to the director. When you're in the booth, you kind of have to do what they want you to do. So I kind of wanted to do it my way. So I finally got the opportunity, and it was really great, and I did it. And of course, 3 years later, they came out with their brilliant idea of, let's do the American version now. So they had the old team from Gitz do it, which was kind of bizarre, and I got to play Batou again, which was nice. I got to get paid for playing Batou again, but it was kind of bizarre, because here I'm doing the same movie twice with 2 different scripts, so it's kind of bizarre. So that's kind of a weird story, I think, anyway. Yes, you had a question?
Who's on the better?
Mine. No, wait, let me think about it. Mine. No, the only reason I say that was because to me, I finally got to do it the way I wanted to do it, you know, and I just feel sometimes they direct me to do it in ways that I don't agree with, but, you know, you kind of have to do it because that's the director. So anyway, that's the story of that, and then they released it. They released both copies, and the one copy, the UK version, runs it at the wrong frame rate. Isn't that interesting? And it sounds like crap. So I thought that was interesting. Apparently nobody listened to it, or they deliberately. I can't believe they would deliberately do that, do you? Oh great, this is going to go on YouTube, and I'm going to be screwed for the rest of my life. Anyway, so I don't know. It was kind of weird. It just sounds really strange, but I do like my version better, just for that reason. So that's the story of Innocence, Ghost in the Shell. Does anybody have any questions for me while I'm here? Yes, Zorro.
What's your favorite episode of Ghost in the Shell?
You mean the series?
Yes.
I really like Jungle Cruise. I think that's one of my favorites, and I was given an award for that show, actually, for doing that, and that was a creepy show, wasn't it? Yeesh. But you know, every once in a while we'll go in the booth and we'll be doing the characters, and we'll just get really caught up, and it'll really touch you and affect you in a way that just is, you know, where you're just like totally linked into this guy. So I was just really locked with Batou when I was doing this, and I just really felt what he was feeling, and you know, the whole thing about, you know, everyone's going, oh my God, Batou's going to kill this guy, he's going to kill this guy, and he didn't kill him because he's a cop, and he's an honest cop. So it was very touching. Very touching. Yeah.
Besides Batou, obviously, who's your favorite character?
Besides Batou?
Yeah.
Batou's brother. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think he has a brother, does he?
No.
You mean other than Ghost in the Shell stuff?
No, just from Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, from Ghost in the Shell. Well, obviously I have to say the Major, because, you know, I have the hots for the Major. I want to get down with that Major. I want to do stuff to that Major. But she's, you know, she's just...
She's sitting right there.
She doesn't give me a hand, see? See, look how hot she is. I want it. And she just won't give me the time of day, so what are you going to do? It's unrequited love, but it's very another moment is very touching. If you guys have seen Innocence, where the Major comes back and she becomes one of the dolls, and she's kind of, you know, there's not much clothing on her, and Batou takes his coat off and puts it on her, and it's very touching. Makes me want to cry. Yes.
One part of Solid State Society that always got me was the very end of the movie with Batou and Major. And the entire time you're sitting there going, are they finally? Are they finally? And then no. And they just end the movie.
Such a
And
tease.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she is. She is. Well, you know, he loves her. He really loves her and cares for her. And that's kind of what, you know, it doesn't really come out and spell it out in the first movie, but I mean, that's what I was playing, that he really, it was, you know, he really was in love with her and cared about her deeply. And And you know, he would love to. Believe me, he'd love to have a relationship with her. But if you read the manga, actually, she's kind of into girls. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, another thing that like
Which is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Yeah.
the part of Innocence where he gives her a jacket is actually like from the first movie where she's at one point invisible and like kicking someone's ass, and he like gives her jacket after that.
Right. That's
And
right.
I just thought that was so interesting how they tied it in to show that like even though he knows it's just her ghost, he still takes care of her. It's very
Right.
touching.
Yeah. Well, it's still her essence. No, regardless. Yeah. You.
I was wondering, what is it like? What does it feel like?
It's terrible.
What does it feel like to be related to a project that's inspired such movies like The Matrix, or
Yeah.
help really define the cyberpunk genre?
I'm going, where's my paycheck? I think it's pretty cool. I mean, you know, these. I'll tell you something. The thing that I think that you guys are so clued into, and I think the reason that these shows are just so popular is because these Japanese shows is because they really ask the tough questions. You know, that our animation is kind of formulaic. You know, the way it's laid out, and you know, I think that people are really kind of they ask these really hard questions. Like the thing, for example, and what I love about Ghost in the Shell is they talk about the morality of technology and the use of it, and how technology is actually growing faster than we are. And how are we going to use that technology? Are we going to use it for good or for evil, or how are we going to regulate that? Or you know, it's just kind of these are interesting questions that I think we're really going to be having to face in the very near future. And the other interesting thing about Ghost in the Shell to me is that the machines are becoming more human, and the humans are becoming more like machines.
Yeah.
And in Innocence, actually, the thing that's the most human in the whole movie is the dog.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just really kind of an interesting statement on kind of where we're headed. You know, as a technological society.
It's a very Blade Runner-esque.
Yeah, it is. But you know, the scary part to me is that I see a lot of evidence of stuff like that happening, like that. So, I'm sorry, you had a question.
What would have to be your favorite thing about playing as Batou?
What? I'm sorry. What is my favorite thing about playing?
Yeah.
Did you ask me what happened to my favorite thing? What happened to my favorite thing? Well, I put it away, and then and I take it out once in a while.
Oh, preacher.
No, Epcar, no.
Calm down, Pastor. Calm down.
You know what? My favorite thing about Batou is that he's just tough as nails. He doesn't take shit from anyone, but he's got a heart of gold, and he's really tough on the exterior, but he's really mushy inside, and he's really a good, fair person, and he's got a real dry sense of humor. So those are the things I like about him, and those are the things I relate to directly. In the back.
Even though Ghost in the Shell is more of an action show, well, it's really action oriented, but it's really cerebral as well. Have you ever found yourself personally interested in any of the philosophical stuff covered in the script?
You know, it's certainly thought-provoking, you know, and I think that's why it's not just like a cop shoot-'em-up show. It's got all those levels of psychology and stuff going on inside of the show, and I think that's what makes it a lot more interesting, and that's what flavors it and colors it and makes it, you know, a notch above. So, I mean, I'm not going to go off and study Zen on a mountaintop because I play Batou, but you know, it certainly makes me think about certain things, you know, and it's thought-provoking. Yeah, you in the back. All right, well, you can go for it, that's right.
What is your favorite line in a scene that recording is watching?
My favorite line? You don't remember your own name, stupid dickhead. I think that's a great line. Thank you very much. They liked it. All right, now you, yes.
One of the things I like about Batou is that it doesn't have the major existential angst all the time.
Right.
So then in Innocence, how did you have to approach the pages of monologue when you're going through all of this?
That is a great question. Oh my God, that is the it's basically the entire movie. I don't know what the hell, he dropped a lot of acid or something. That entire movie is like all platitudes, and it's all just, you know, and to try to write, I had to do the adaptation, so to try to write that into natural sounding dialogue was really challenging. And part of me wanted to just throw it away, and I actually, Crispin Freeman and I had long discussions about this, and I kept saying to him, I said, this is driving me nuts. I just want to like throw it out and make it like normal conversation. And you know, and we went back and forth and talked about stuff, and you know, and basically the bottom line is you kind of have to respect the original movie, because this is somebody else's creation that you're doing. So you can't just say, you know, screw it. You know, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. You know, you can't do it. It's not right to do that to another artist. So I tried to make it as close to what the original was, but I also tried to make it, you know, acceptable to an American audience, so that it would sound somewhat natural and normal the way they spoke. But and I tried to invent ways to intercut all those platitudes without having them just stop and say that, although there's parts where they have to do it, there's no way around it, you know. But it's a really tough movie, and a lot of people came up to me afterwards and said, thank you for doing that, because they said, we saw the movie, the subtitles, and we didn't know what the hell was going on, you know. So it was kind of course, they added all the extra crap, like, you know, the sound effects and all the other stuff in the subtitles, which didn't help anything either, so. Yes?
Of all the roles you've ever had to do as an actor, which would you think is the most enjoyable you've had, or most challenging for you?
You know, I get asked that a lot, and you know, and I hate to give you like you know, a pat answer to that, but what are they doing? Vivisecting somebody in the next room? Oh my God! It sounds like they're giving the hot poker treatment. What? Oh, nice. Bastards.
Cartoon watchers too. I mean, wait.
You know, I feel like all my characters I work hard on. I try to do a good job. It could be a piece of crap or a really good project or a cheap one, an expensive one. I try to do my best on everything I work on, and I try to, you know, I try to be conscientious about everything I do. So it's hard, and you know, as far as my favorite, I mean, Batou is one of my favorites. I like Jigen. I like doing Ziggy and Ziggurat 8. He was fun. I love doing all the Robotech characters I did. I love doing all the Transformer characters I did. I loved doing the you know, there's a bunch of games I worked on right now that I can't talk about, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I love doing all those characters.
Well, I'll keep it secret. You can tell us.
Yeah, right.
Well, just between us.
Us and YouTube. No, it'll be on YouTube. No. Peter Ustinov used to be asked that question a lot, and I think he had the best answer. They'd say, well, "What's your favorite role?" And he would say, "The next." And I think that's a great answer, because you know, you got to look forward to the next one and move on. And but yeah, they're all like my little children, and I love them all. So you know, so it's kind of hard. I'm trying to think of the Joker was a lot of fun. The Joker was something completely different for me, and a really different voice, and I don't know where the hell that came out of, and it was just a blast playing him. So he was fun, and so it was great. It was a lot of fun. I don't know, I liked them both. I mean, the Laughing Man kind of went on for a long, long time, and they had, like 12 different guys played the Laughing Man. Steve Bloom played the Laughing Man. Abe Flotnick played the Laughing Man. Herbie Montoya played the Laughing Man. No, I don't know. I'm just making this shit up. I liked it. Although the one thing I didn't like, I guess they took the show to Canada and they tried to cut it together and make a thing, you know, a different thing. And I guess they're trying to do sound-alike stuff with us. And I just thought that kind of sucked. Anybody heard that version? Is it any good? Oh, you're just saying that because I'm here. No, that hurts. You know, I just, one of the characters I did in a game was called Ziggurat 8 in Xenosaga. And I did those three games, and that's a very cool character. He's kind of like RoboCop, you know. He comes home and his family's been killed, and he kills himself because he doesn't want to live anymore, and they basically reanimate him and make him do their bidding, and so he's doing all these things that he doesn't want to do. So there's like a sadness and a pathos to this character. Anyway, I really love playing him as an actor. He was talk about, you know, parts you want to play as an actor. And when they did the series, they did it in Texas, and I live in Los Angeles. So I tried to get word to them that I would even fly down there and do it, because I wanted to do it so bad because I love this character so much. And apparently they didn't get word. And we'll talk about that after the panel, maybe. But somebody was supposed to get them the word and didn't get them the word. And then I did one of these conventions, and I was sitting down next to the director, and I mentioned to him, I said, you know, I wanted to play Ziggy for you guys. He goes, yeah, I had no idea. We would love you to play Ziggy. We would have, you know, done that in a heartbeat. So anyway, that's how stuff happens sometimes. What are you going to do? Wasn't meant to be. Yeah?
First of all, if you have the Dragon Con app, please give this a 5-star rating so we can get a bigger room next time.
Yes, please.
Do you ever listen to the...
Don't you like the intimacy?
the Japanese voice acting before you do a role?
It depends on the studio, it depends on the project, and some people kind of like that. Personally, I don't like that because I feel it kind of influences the way you're going to do the role, and I don't want to be a mimic. I'm an actor, you know, so for me, I don't really like it. I know some people do, some people like to work that way, but I kind of hate it. For me, it's no fun. And you know, the original animation is more fun because you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just go in and do the character. I do have a funny story about being Batou. Batou has paid off for me to become Ansem in Kingdom Hearts. And the way that happened was, they, for whatever reason, Billy Zane did Ansem in the first Kingdom Hearts, and I don't know what happened to this day. I don't know what happened, if he wanted more money, if he was unavailable, if he pooped in their salad. I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, what happened was the Japanese producers and asked the Disney people, said, who does the voice of Batou in America? Because the guy who does the voice of Ansem in Japan does the voice of Batou in Japan. And that's how I got the job. I didn't even have to audition for it. So,
Audition for Ghost in the Shell.
oh yeah, yes I did, twice. But I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. I mean, that's unusual. It doesn't matter. You usually have to audition for everything. So, just a minute, I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'll answer your question. So anyway, the first day I go in to work on Kingdom Hearts 2, and there's about 6 Japanese clients in the booth, and there's about 6 Disney brass in the booth. And I would do one line, and then the engineer would come on and talk back, and he'd go, just a minute. And then they would talk amongst themselves for about 5 minutes, and he'd come back and go, can you do that a little slower? So I do a little slower, and then go, just a minute. They would talk amongst themselves for about 5-10 minutes, and go, can you do that a little faster? And this went on all day, and I was like going insane. And finally I grabbed the engineer, I pulled him aside, and said, how did Christopher Lee deal with this? He said, oh, they did it to him once. And he said, all right, I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. I'm going to read this script from the top to the bottom, and then I'm going home. And that's exactly what he did. And I thought, how fucking cool is that? I wish I could do that, but it was my first time, you know. But now I've done about 5 of them, so you know, maybe on the 6th one I'll...
You know, Christopher Lee was in the OSS in World War II.
Well, there you go. You don't want to mess with that guy. I don't have time. I'm going home. I love it. I love Christopher Lee. It was wonderful. I got to hear his tracks in my phones when I was doing my lines, so that was really cool. He and I have something in common. We both play Dracula, so. And actually, my Otismon, if we had any Digimon fans. My Otismon is my Dracula, basically, without the accent, so there you go. Any other questions? Yes.
For the things that you write,
Yes, I'll marry you. I'll marry you two together. I'm going to marry you two together.
The Matrix rejected you for a woman.
I was going to act as Batou the priest. Batou the priest.
That's the second time the Matrix rejected you for a woman.
I know. See? Oh, see, now I'm going to have a complex now. All right, last question. What?
When you write, how do you come up with the lines for either something original or just anything, or translations? Either way.
Well, the translations are a little easier in a way because, you know, you have essentially what they're saying. You know, the only tough part is you have to make it fit in the lip flaps. So that takes a lot of craft to be able to do that, and you have to be able to make it. If you do it well, I mean, there's a lot of people that just go, oh, it starts here and it stops here, and it doesn't matter what it looks like in the middle, and that's not real good sync. And you can see that it looks like crap. So when I write this stuff, you know, if they close their mouth, you have to have a word with a B, a P, or an M, so that when they put your mouth together, it makes those sounds. So the trick is to come up with a word that means the same thing as the word they're saying, but it starts with those letters or ends with the letters depending on where the lip flaps are. And it's very tedious, hard work that we sincerely do not get paid enough to do. But if it's done correctly, it can be wonderful and look really, really good. Yes.
Okay, I was curious, like, I know that studios do, forgetting words.
It's like living in a really bad New York apartment. You can hear the TV in the apartment next door. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I know that studios do recordings differently. Some do them with one person just doing their lines, and some do them with the multiple people for the cast doing their lines. Have you ever gotten a chance to do with the whole room of actors, and which do you prefer?
Yeah, I'm doing a series right now for Nickelodeon. It's the sequel to Avatar. It's Legend of Korra. Thank you. Yeah, which I'm very excited to do because there's just a wonderful group of actors working on this, and me. And
You're very good too.
oh, thank you, thank you. I can't say who I play yet. But it's a good part, and I'm very happy to be part of it. It's a really good group, and I hope it's as successful as the original Avatar. I really do. What I've seen, it looks amazing. It's very cool. So
We're not talking about that.
anyway, to stay on point. To stay on point, when you're working with a room full of actors and you're reading off of each other, it's really kind of nice because then you can just kind of play off each other like a radio play. So it's kind of nice. When you go in, just about all dubbing, well, all dubbing, I guess safe to say, you go in one at a time and you do the lines one at a time by yourself. And the tough thing is if you're the first one in before anyone else is recorded, you're basically in there doing it by yourself. So you kind of have to read the line before and kind of hear it in your head, and because people